Got to pick one. In the end, there can only be one. Well, as much as I love the cruise line deal and it was incredibly valuable, I have to give the nod here, I think. And I look forward to you fighting it out with me if you're going to fight it out with me. But I have to give the nod to the no lifetime language Amex offers because these business platinum offers have been the gift that keeps on giving. They're incredibly generous. Yes, you have to pay the $695 annual fee. So that certainly is a barrier for a lot of people. And I can understand why. But as we've written about in the first year, especially if you sign up in December, if you've done it in December with enough time to take advantage of all the benefits, then you're talking about potentially what, two, four, six, $800 in Dell credits before you have to pay your next annual fee. You're talking about the what, $600 potentially in airline fee credits before your next annual fee. Again, if you sign up for these in December with enough time to use this year's credit, next year's credit, and the year after, which we talked about in a recent show, and all the other benefits, plus the 160,000 points. Some people 250,000 points with no lifetime language. And I opened one of these earlier this year, and then a second one in December, so two this year. And then within a week or two after opening my second business platinum this year, I got the offer for 160,000 points again in my Amex offers, and I haven't opened
Yeah.
it for a third time. But it's just the gift that keeps on giving. It's the point parade that marches on, and those points we know can be far more valuable than their cash value. Cash value already, we're talking about now that I have the business checking account, $1,600 each time on these 160K offers, and obviously potentially much more with valuable transfers to transfer partners. So that for me is the deal of the year.
All right. Well, my pick is actually the cruise line status matches. Um, Nick
That's
didn't think I would
I
pick this one at
never in a
all going
million
into
years would
this,
have
did you?
thought, Craig. No, absolutely not, because
Right.
you're not interested in these
I'm
big,
not I'm not interested,
resort
but
factory cruises, right?
I think that you uncovered an incredible deal that's accessible to almost anyone that wants to put in pretty moderate or even small amount of work and very very little financial responsibility to get into this. Whereas the I don't disagree at all about how valuable the business platinum thing is, but the high spend requirements, as well as the high annual fees, it's not like something that a young couple not making much money could really handle. Many people can't handle those high spend requirements, and but the cruise line thing, I feel like someone could start up today, and within a very short period of time have booked a trip that they might not have even dreamed of ever paying for, a $3,000 cruise or whatever it is, and here they can get that almost for free. Amazing.
That's a great point. I met a number of readers on the cruise I took in Europe that were there because of the deal that we had written about and came up to say hi. And I also met a number of people who were taking this cruise and had paid for it, and it was like like once in a lifetime sort of a trip where they were visiting a whole bunch of different places in Europe that were exotic places that most people don't get to travel to every day, and it's easy to forget about that when you play this game and earn a lot of points and you travel a lot. If this is something you've been into for a long time, that most people don't do what we do in terms of earning points and burning them. And so you're right. I think that's a really interesting point, that just about anybody, for what, the $95 cost of the Wyndham earner business card, a few minutes of matching that around to Caesars and sending a screenshot to Carnival,
Yeah.
could get a really amazing deal that's not going to cost them. It'll cost them a reasonable amount of money that most people would consider spending on a vacation, a few $100. And so then if you've also collected some points to cover the flight wherever it is you're going to cruise from, I did not have that on my radar as being the winner, because the business platinum offers have been such a great deal and we've taken advantage of it in my household. But I think you might have sold me on that idea, because you're right. I mean, it does require $15,000 spend for each one, $695 annual fee. Got to have a business. Although I suppose the Caesars deal does require starting with a Wyndham Earner business card as well. But we've talked before
Yeah.
about how easy it is to have a business. So,
Right. Right.
so that's not a really large barrier at all. So, wow. I definitely expected that I would be sitting here just obviously the no lifetime language offers are clearly
Right.
the winner. And I said it right from the beginning. I was like, I just can't even see a way that you could argue anything else. And not only
That's
did you
funny.
argue it, I think you convinced me. It's my personal deal of the year. I thought about that when we were writing about this. And the deal of the year for me, without a doubt, hands down, was taking advantage of one of those Amex Platinum offers that included the 15x small business because I bought a minivan at the beginning of this year and I wrote about it. I earned more than 500,000 points buying my minivan using a platinum card because I was able to take advantage of a great welcome bonus and the extra
Right.
points at small business. Now, that was really a deal from last year, but it carried into early this year. So you were able to potentially take advantage of that even early this year. It was still alive. We don't consider that really part of this year's deals because it was a last year deal that carried into this year. But
Right.
personally, that
Right.
was the deal of the year for me. So Amex points have been on my mind all year long. And when you look at these
Yeah.
business platinum offers, if you can meet the spend, right, two of those is 320,000 Amex membership rewards points. I mean, you showed what you could do with the ANA round the world chart. So okay, let me argue that for a second. So if you were able to do two of those this year, which you could potentially do, at least you could potentially get approved for two of those. That's
Yeah.
320,000 points. You could fly two passengers round the world in business class with the ANA round the world chart. And we're talking in that case, probably 10, 15, $20,000 worth of business class flights with two credit card signups and no lifetime language to stop you from doing it. Do you think those cruise offers are that good, Greg?
Well, again, it comes down to, for me, my thinking about it comes down to who can take advantage of all that. And so when you talk about getting two of them, that's doubling the amount of spend required. And then being able to take advantage of things like an ANA Around the World award, or even easier taking advantage of Air Canada Aeroplan awards and 5K stopovers and all that stuff that you showed what you could do with. All of that is less accessible because it's complicated. You've got to learn all the ins and outs, find the wordability, yada yada. Again, I go back to like the cruise thing. Very little upfront requirements that you need to get started with that. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of knowledge, really. And you can get, actually, you said earlier, two cruises for free by doing this. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with
You
my
stick with that.
pick.
But why are you here if you're not going to learn how to maximize all the points, Craig? I mean, if you're listening to the show, it's because you want to maximize this stuff, right? I mean, you want to be able to take advantage of those hot deals that we've written about. So, and really, is it that hard to meet the spending requirement? Now, I say that, and I know there's some people who are like, oh my goodness, $15,000 is a lot of money to spend. But you know as well as I do that there are plenty of ways out there for somebody who wants to meet the spend. I mean, Frequent Miler is the Earn Miles Without Flying blog. We wrote the complete guide to manufactured spending. There are ways to spend $15,000. I mean, at the very least, comes to mind now because we're at the end of the year. You can make a tax payment or two, or an estimated payment, and potentially get a refund for that payment. Now, I say that, and I guess I should probably, with that, say that there were a couple of people, and when I say a couple, I mean just a very few number of people that said last year they made tax payments and didn't earn the welcome bonus on their Amex card. And I don't know what's up with that because it was such a small number of people that I would have thought that it must have been something they did wrong. But those people were so meticulous about the way they seem to have documented it that I'm like, I don't know, was it them? Is there something weird going on with Amex? And of course, you got the risk of the IRS hanging on to your money for a long time. They don't always refund people as quickly as one would hope. So there are some
Yeah,
caveats
yeah.
and gotchas there, but it can be done. That's what I'm saying.
Let me address the not getting the welcome bonus thing. I'm
You're skeptical.
99.9% sure that something else led to them not getting the welcome bonus. No idea what that something else was, but and then when they call to complain about it, the reps are trying to figure out what it is. They see a tax payment. They think, oh, that sounds like a cash-like purchase. You're not allowed to do cash-like purchases, even though
Right.
it's very clear that tax payments are fine. There's nothing in the terms that bar them or define them as being a cash-like payment. I don't know any world in which that even makes any sense. And so, yeah, I'm confident that that is fine. I
An
would
anomaly.
totally be feel 100% safe to using tax payments as a way of meeting minimum spend requirements with any bank, not just Amex. And but the ability to float $15,000. So you're giving basically if you pay 15,000 in tax payments near the end of the year, you're basically giving the IRS a loan until you file your taxes and until they decide to refund the overpayment. And we don't know how long that'll be.
You don't have to do it with all 15. Obviously, you're going to spend some money each month, right? So, you only have to float whatever the difference is between what you're naturally going to spend in 3 months and the 15,000. So, I mean, I can imagine most people listening probably spend at least $1,000 a month, if not two, in just general expenses that have to get paid, right? So, I mean, if we split the difference there and say $1,500 a month in expenses that can be paid by credit card, that's 4,500. So you only have to float 10,500. It's a little bit less.
So, yeah. So can we agree that the business platinum offers there's more upside there for people willing to put in the work and floating, figuring out how to do the spend, all that kind of stuff. But that the cruise deal is more widely available. It's more widely available. Many more people could take advantage of it if they're interested in.
Without any difficulty. You're right. I mean, I'm trying to argue the other side a little bit, but you're right. Without any complexity, without any difficulty, you just fly yourself to Seattle and take a cruise to Alaska and be like, wow, I got an amazing deal for very little effort. You're right. It's hard to argue. I tried.
So does that mean you're
I'm
conceding?
I hate
right.
to, I hate to concede and say that Greg won anything, but but I have to admit that argument convinces me that it is very easy for just about, it's something you can explain to just about anybody and they could do it. They could follow a few steps and make it happen. Right. So that's unexpected dark horse winner for deal of the year. Wow. Cruise line status matches. Talk about an unexpected winner.